Hi friends, welcome back. I have a Woodland Journal to show you today, and before I show you this I wanted to show you these little books and also these little thingies. So if you're not interested in these two, skip ahead 5 or 6 minutes perhaps. Now I've mentioned this one before. It's a very pretty little vintage book. Here's a loose page just so that I can show you that there's 2 black and white and 2 colour images on every single page in this one. Now while I was away last week, I managed to find a second-hand bookshop that had a nice collection, so I've got a few more, and I was just comparing the different editions by date, because this one is from the 1930s, and then 50s, 70s, 80s. So in case you were shopping, because a few people have asked me about these and want to sort of know the difference, the paper in this one is exceptionally beautiful. It's really pretty. And then this one from the 50s is slightly different. They do sort of change over the time. Unfortunately, I don't have any duplicates to compare, you know, of the same subject, but we get an idea. So this one, we don't get as many illustrations, but they are still very pretty. This one is grasses, and this one 50s also. In fact, this one is early 50s, and it's quite similar, the paper. But what you get with this one, every other page is text like this, and the pages with illustrations, they have 2 photographs like that, which I'm not super keen on, but you know, they're okay, and the nice colour plates on there. So my favourite is the earliest one. So if you can, you know, try and go for the earlier ones. There's a lot of reprints in between of each one. This one also I really like. This one's from the 70s. You can see the difference in the cover. These are linen, and these are getting a slightly more kind of plasticised. But this one again is very pretty. It has some very darling illustrations, and this one has like that 2 and 2. And the reason I'm showing you is that I was just experimenting a little bit. I have in the journal a couple of different ways to use these small size pages, which came out very sweet. So like that, very pretty. This one is 80s, so they've gone soft back, and it says New Observer's Book of on that one. That's the only one that does that. That's a dust jacket. So, you know, that's for those who are interested. Let's put those aside. These have been on my Instagram. I don't really know what they're called. They're just, you know, they're halfway between a photographic slide and a microscope slide, I think, so I don't know. So a couple of people asked for tutorial, but I mean, there's nothing to it really. It's just 2 pieces of board. I'll just see if I can focus. Okay, let's put those down. So quite thick board, because I didn't want them to be bendy, and I've just stuck over the cardboard some of those little ATC sized Tim Holtz papers, just from the wallflower pack. I think most of them were. So they do the ATC, and then they do the little squares. I think they're probably about that size, in the big 12 by 12, you know, the ones that I mean, probably. So 2 boards, and then 2 layers of scrapbook paper, and then just sandwiched 2 layers of acetate in between there. And what I've done for the butterfly is just, of course, print 2 on the computer and fussy cut them. I have forgotten to draw a little antenna, so I'll have to add those. The one thing to remember is if you're doing something that's not symmetrical like a butterfly, you'll want to flip your image in your computer program, so flip it that way so that you get 2 and it's not looking funny. So I mean, you know, mushrooms, little plant samples would look so pretty, just a little feather, something that you've collected on a walk. Make sure your plant samples are dried properly, of course. So quite a lot of potential, I think, a lot of possibilities, and as you can see, I've just scribbled some little kind of scientific notes, not real scientific notes, you know. I've done a little stamping on the side. They look quite cool with the ball chain, and some have just twine on them. So I've just done butterflies this time, just to play. Next time I find a dead bee, I'm really hoping this year, I will, I'll do some more fairy ones. So that's that. So that'll look quite cool. Now I was just going to show you what to do with the corners, because you don't really want curved corners on these. I mean, you know, I didn't. But you don't want them to look too sharp either. So when that focuses, I'll carry on. There we are. So like that. So what I did was just cut. I'm going to show you a big version when that focuses. And then of course this would be just, you would do a tiny little bit. Is that going to focus or not? There we are. Okay, so just cut the end corner off, and then I'll do 2 more snips like this, and so that, in a very miniature version of that, is going to give you a nice rounded, you want it to look as though it's just got worn with time and not purposely cornered off. So that's that for a more vintage look. Okay, right, now back to the book. Okay, so woodland theme. I've done a very thick kind of a cushioned cover with about 15 coats of varnish on here. I've added some eco dye scraps and eco dye panel on the front with a quote just stamped, and one on the back like that with a slightly curved spine and some black cotton lace top and bottom, and that's about it for the cover. The charms, let's show you here. So she loves hares, so I had to put this lovely charm in. Has some little sentiments around the side. I've made a resin charm here with some tree words and a little leaf sample inside. Beads. And let's see what I'm doing. Just various beads here. Little cluster. That one. There's another tiny hare here. Running. Gold leaf. And I've made a wooden bead inside some spiraled wire. Came out quite cool. So that's that. Okay, the inside, there's one of these charms here with the writing area for a nice greeting if you wanted to give it as a gift, or just a bit of journaling space. In here that's just a business card. That is one of those nice vintage tags. This is your personal info space. Woodlander's library card. I've added a little snail on that one. So these I've put on my website if you're interested now, and that's just a little note to the client. These are very pretty cards. These are from the British Bird Charity RSPB. So that's that, they go in there. There's a lovely woodland scene with cow parsley and some stitched vines. Just make sure I'm framed properly. Some hand-carved stamps, some antique ledger with stamping, crinkly paper, another nice eco die tip in with some lovely leaf shapes. I've used a few book pages. This one is from a natural history on birds, and it has these lovely artist notes on there. I've managed to clip these two pages together. Artist notes and sketches, which is really nice. So I've added a few hairs with this stamp, and she requested some specific quotes also. The hand-carved stamp. There's pocket. That's your alphabet practice. And this is a little scroll idea, which is quite cool. So that unravels to reveal a quote. How lovely the silence of growing things. So that I've stuck on some eco-dyed paper in 2 layers and attached it to a twig, which is properly dried. Don't use fresh twigs because you'll get bugs and all sorts of things in your books. Not nice. Okay. And here I've done a kind of a layout for this quote. On the computer, of course, I haven't written that myself. Just faded out this little panel from the background image for a bit of writing space. And this was a piece of the eco die where this little, I think that was an onion skin, has made that little imprint, but it really looked to me like a mushroom, so I thought it was really cute, so I wanted to use that on its own. So that made a little tuck, and so this is the first of these pages, and I've used this as a little sample holder. So there's a sample stuck here on its own card and some writing space, and then I've left the 2 blanks here with the illustrations and the little corner sticking out. So that is just literally just slit there with a craft knife to fit that in. So that's the first one. That's some more of those illustrations. More crinkly paper. Eco die here with a lovely, you see that 5-petaled leaf. And tracing paper fussy cut so that you can see through this mushroom. Looks quite cool. And just gone round here with olive and gold thread just to match these. This batch came out so pretty, the eco dyes, with some lovely olive green tones and golds. I'm really happy with that. More writing areas, and I've done again one of these moth stamps It's very dark, I hope you can see that. With some ink splotches and some dyed paper. And this stamp I've done again with some wet ink, like a dipping ink, calligrapher's ink, to give this washy effect. Just cut from a wildlife book, lovely bluebell woods, and I've done a journaling card with some tracing paper, and I've stamped this with printed it, sorry, with lines. I really love this idea of Tracy Fox's. This is printed bark on tracing paper. Bit of collage here. Oops, got a little forget-me-not seed pod. A little collection of scraps with some stamped fabric. Here's a sample. So I've just stuck it over the top of this glassine. I thought that looked quite nice. I've printed here brown paper with graph lines and just torn that for the background. Just scribble some notes again for the sample. Poem, little fabric tab, a bit of collaging, a nice quote here. And this background of white paper that you can see is Japanese rice paper. I'm just waiting for that to focus, there we are. And this side here is stitched lines over tracing paper. And you can see some more eco dyes as well back here. And this is inked tracing paper. And another fussy cut mushroom from tracing paper also. Some vintage mushroom illustrations. This is a Beatrix Potter, I think, vintage illustration. All the journaling cards are backed onto a second layer of paper and stamped and stitched. Some more tracing paper, a hand carved stamp. This is a beautiful stamp from Newly Bird Stamps, that's N-O-O-L-I, on Etsy. She has some very cool folk art style. I made a little, well, rather a big tag. This is a pocket with a hand carved stamp. I've put some lines on the back for extra writing. And in here I've added one of the quotes that she wanted. We're not focusing very well today, are we? There we are. So I've just done that to fit very snugly so it doesn't fall out, because obviously it's upside down like that. If you wanted to do that, don't forget that your tag is kind of upside down if you were wanting writing on it this way. You know, you may want to turn it round, it's up to you. Some more inked tracing paper. This is one of those book pages that I've just inserted as it is. This is tracing paper stamped with, printed on the computer with the bark pattern. I've added this one because it mentions violets to go with a sample. So there's another collage. That one is a pocket. I've just stamped these in different colours. And this is another of the book pages. So just use the whole complete thing, so you don't need to trim them. I did a flower fairy on one of the pages that was blank. And use this one like this. Just stuck a very pretty sample. Can you see how you can see through these Honesty seed pods? Sorry, I'm showing you my hand. It seems to focus better if there's... That's it. So that's that, and then on the back just added a little writing space with some machine lines and a skeleton leaf. This script I get from the Graphics Fairy, which is very cool. And this very cool mushroom is from the old design shop, and I've just combined the two and taken away some of the words here so that you get a nice border. Another quote, some more collaging. These index pages from the back of your wildlife books make really good collage elements. I really like them. I've done another inked stamp here, and printed some writing lines on this tracing paper so that you can write on it and still see through it. Sorry, there we are, like that. So our hair friend again. Another glassine with a journaling card, and some kind of random stitch lines on this one. 2 layers of tracing paper, and I've made a little tea card, a space for a tea card with a little ribbon. It kind of matches that butterfly there. I didn't realise till afterwards. So you could do a writing space on the back of the card if you wanted. And that's the information on the butterfly. Some handmade paper and a little embroidery. Some lovely eco-dyed paper. Stitching and tracing paper, handcraft stamps. This is from a herbal book, and this I've done to look like bark, I hope. Just inks on tracing paper. More eco dye. This is from the old design shop also. Made a pocket out of this one. And on the other side of the tracing paper I've added another pocket with a ribbon. And this is another requested quote. There we are. So I've just done it as a little thing for some secret journaling, and matched the picture on the back with the stitching, like that. Oops. So another sample. Again, I've just stuck it over the top of a glassine envelope with a little bit of washi, some stamping, some scribbles. Little number stamp here. This one opens for another requested poem. Some extra writing space there. and I've just done the closure like that to keep it closed. Some stitch lines, eco dies. Yeah, I call her the Elven Queen. I don't know who she is. She's an Arthur Rackham. If she's not the Elven Queen, please don't tell me, because I prefer to think that she is. Wandering through the forest. I really love this image. Some stamping with a little hare running through the meadows. Mushrooms. Here is one of these tall envelopes, and that's a hand-carved stamp tag. That has a magnet. Well, there's a little pine cone charm there that I think was buried before, didn't see. Some more eco die. There's one of the eco dies, sorry I'm hesitating a bit, there's one that I wanted to show you something about. I hope I haven't gone past it. There's a pretty Australian beetle on that postage stamp. And one of these kind of vintage envelopes. It's a transfer from a fern leaf. Inked papers. It's another hare. Oh, here it is. So I happen to have some white chrysanthemums. At the time I was doing some eco dye, and I didn't really expect white flowers to do much, but you know, they got thrown in. But what it has done happily is react with the things that were around it. So you can see the head of a flower, a bigger one here, with all the little petal shapes. And then, can you see this? Whoops. See this one sticking out? This is just a little stem with a little flower sticking out to the side. You can see the tops of the petals. And so it's just, again, it's acted as a relief to the inks around it. Not a relief. What do I mean? A resist. So that you get the outline of the shape. It looks really pretty that way. So just something to bear in mind, even if you think that something won't give a dye. Well, obviously this hasn't given a dye, but if you combine it with other things, then you can get some success that way as well. So that's tracing paper. It's a very pretty vintage book, Nature Rambles. And then this was the other one. So with this one, let's just put that in there. I've just done the whole page again and just made a file folder very simply. Just a couple of bits, what's in here, quote and a journaling card. So that's really cool actually. You get 4 illustrations, and this one is nice because it even has some scribbles from the original owner. Here's another collage. Eco dies, this very pretty little, that's the cat playing behind me, whatever that is. Another sample, I think that's was it ash tree? I've forgotten now. A hand-carved stamp from my friend Lucy. And this here is wax paper, which is crinkled. It looks quite cool. I was going to tell you something. No, I've forgotten. Okay. You'll have to live without me telling you that. A bird. A bird from a book page. I've left the door open today as well, so I'm freezing my toes off for you. But there were a couple of birds outside just before, so I was hoping that you'd be able to hear them. in the background. So I've got, this bird is holding a tiny string. Let's see if I can give you a closer look. And I've just made a tiny tag with there's a message on the back. Very pretty grasshopper illustration there. Just stitched a few lines on this one. Some writing areas. Journaling card. And just torn around this hand carved stamp with some more inked papers. Another little bunny with some tracing paper lines. And this eco die I've made into a pocket. Some more journaling cards. A little scrap. It's one of these envelopes with the 3 different papers sewn together and some vine stitching. More eco die. Some more handmade stamps. Can you hear that bird? Oh, they always stop as soon as you listen, don't they? And there is our hare friend bounding out of the book. So that's the end. And just on the last page I've done so if you hold it this side, there's a magnet here, so you need to hold on to your page and then it just opens up. Let me just move along. So in the pocket on this side I've put a letter from the bookmaker, and this also is available on my site if anyone else wanted it. It's just a freebie, so you can go jibbidneary.com and then some samples on their own cards. Another sample, and that's that. So it just closes that like that and holds itself together nicely. And I've just left a bit of extra space just to accommodate. If you are wanting to do a big fold out here, it is good if you're using cardstock to do separate pieces rather than fold them, because that's going to take a lot of bulk in your book. So these are all separate and they're just joined with a small gap in between to accommodate a fold, so that they're not too bulky. And I've just stitched. The stitching actually is cosmetic because the fabric is glued there. Just use something very sheer. This is organdy. So that's that. I hope you've enjoyed having a stroll through the woods with me. And I've got something to tell you. Oh yes, next book. Now the next one I'm very excited about. It's a personal project, and it's a journal, and it's in a style that I haven't done at all before, so I'm really looking forward to it. I have an order next month, so I don't want to be late for the order. So if I manage to finish the concept journal before the order is due to start, then that's the next video that you'll see. If you happen to see a mermaid one next, that means it was taking longer than it should have done. So the next client order is a mermaid book. So I hope you'll join me for that, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.